Neon sign versus vacuum cleaner. Which would be easier to build in ancient Egypt?
If you were sent back to ancient Egypt and had to build a vacuum cleaner or a neon sign before you could come back, which would you choose?
Neon sign. It's not even close. Are you fucking kidding me? A vacuum. Also, how did he come up with this? Like, why is this a YouTube video? Why are we arguing about which would be easier to make in ancient Egypt, a vacuum or a neon sign? Neon sign. Vacuum cleaner? Chat, you need suction and gears. You would have to have an engine. Neon sign, you could get, like, electricity through some weird fucking waterway. You would have to generate electricity and then power the neon sign, but I feel like that's a lot easier than making a fucking vacuum. Have you ever seen a Swiffer wet jet, chat? Pretty hard to fucking make. Have you ever seen one of the Dyson vacuums? Pretty hard to fucking make. That guy's the MacGyver of the 21st century. It's not easy to make a vacuum.
One is a glass tube filled with electrified gas. The other, an
Okay, I kind of perceived neon sign as like a copper tube that was just really hot, and then they like changed the color or something. I was thinking like, oh, you get it struck by lightning. It's filled with gas. You need pure neon for a neon sign.
Which would you choose? One is a glass tube filled with electrified gas. The other, an electric motor housed in a tiny box. Since you're not here and Fred is, we're gonna send him back in time instead of you and force him to build each of these common modern day gadgets in ancient Egypt before he can come back and enjoy another In-N-Out burger. So let's go see which process.
When was the wheel invented? 3500 BCE. When were the pyramids built? Yo, they ain't even got a wheel yet. 2700 BCE. Oh, wait, no. 2700 BCE. So they got the wheel. I was going to say, if they don't even got the wheel yet, you got to make a fucking vacuum.
This will steal more of Fred's sanity.
That has 4 of those bitches. 4 wheels on the
We'll start with the neon flamingo, which is guaranteed to make any ancient party 2 times more funner.
2 times more funner? Definitely more than that.
First up,
neon sign, dude. They'd think you're like a god. You pull up with that, any futuristic thing.
He's gonna need some glass.
Sorry, I'm gonna pause it again. What would be the coolest thing you could bring back from today that would make people think you're like a demigod? I don't think an iPhone, because I think an iPhone's too advanced that it's confusing. A dildo. I think a gun. A rocket launcher specifically. I think if you have an RPG and shells on the fucking shoulder and you blow something up, they're going, you're probably some sort of superhero. You know, maybe a plane, a laser pointer, a fucking laser pointer. Nah, a car. Okay, an item, chat, not an entire car. If you bring them a car, they're just going to think you're developed. They're going to think that you're from the future. You need to bring some shit that's like, they think that you're like from an alternate dimension. A vape pen. A puff bar.
Making scale? I'd say right about here.
A puff bar. Acid. Just a strip of acid. Quick interruption to shout out Gamer Subs. I work with them now. Code BAR, 10% off free shipping and free sample pack if you add it to your cart at checkout. You're telling me you don't want to try Queso's nuclear bombsicle? I mean, look at this. It's going to taste amazing. Or any of the ready-to-drink cans that are in that mini fridge they said they were sending me. It's not a mini fridge. It's like twice as, it's huge. Anyways, that or any of the other, I only have like 4 right here, but they have about 1.5 million flavors. You could also get certain sleep supports. They have ones that aren't caffeinated. You could have ones that are flavored, caffeinated. Whatever you want, you got to check it out. Gamersups, link in the description, or just look up Gamersups. Use code BART at checkout. That's all. Peace.
Glass making was in its infancy. Now, glass is made from sand, which the Egyptians were no strangers to. But all sand is not created equal. The materials the Egyptians used made their glass opaque, cloudy, non-transparent, non-see-through. Too many impurities. But Fred can use their glass making technique. He'll just have to include about 1800 years of advancements so the glass is at least somewhat transparent. In the 15th century, glassmakers in Venice developed a clear type of glass known as cristallo by using quartz and potash. The potash is basically just filtered ash and does two important things: lowers the melting point of the sand and increases the durability of the final glass product. Fred's glass.
All right, I'm going to sound like a dumbass here. I thought all glass was transparent. I thought maybe that's from Minecraft, but I really thought that all stained glass is just colored glass. Stained glass is just colored glass. They're putting food dye in it. That's what it is, right? It's what I thought, at least. Is that not what it is? Mirrors? How is a mirror made? How do they make a mirror? What is a mirror? Oh my God, what's a fucking mirror? What is a mirror? Stop, chat, think about it. No, glass makes sense because it's just like melted down sand and it's just fucking hardened and you see through it. It's glass, right? Like a window or the glass on your computer or the fridge or some shit. You see through it. How the fuck does a mirror... I get metal mirrors, right? I get like something being shiny, like a spoon, and I see myself. How the fuck does a mirror... How do you make a mirror? There's a layer of glue. Is it metal and glass? How... What is a mirror made of? A sheet of smooth, flat glass coated on the back with a very thin layer of reflective metal. So it is metal. Behind the glass. Wow. When did they have mirrors? I feel like if you bring a mirror to a motherfucker in ancient Egypt, that'd be pretty badass, no? When did they... No, you know what would make somebody think you're from the future? A fucking Polaroid. If you brought a Polaroid camera to ancient Egypt, they would be like befuddled. Get rid of the phone, take a picture and print out a physical copy and be like, hey, you don't even need a painter anymore. Fuck Leonardo DiCaprio, not DiCaprio. Fuck Leonardo da Vinci. Did he make paintings or was he a sculptor? Fuck the painters. You don't need those motherfuckers. Just take a picture of something. When did they invent the mirror? 6000 BCE. Before they invented a mirror, before they invented the wheel? That can't be true. Polished obsidian mirrors. That don't really count. I'm thinking glass mirror.
Clear by today's standards, but good enough for a 3,000-year-old handmade neon flamingo. Isolating quartz from the rest of the sand grains, just like everything else back then, has to be done manually. However, you can find bigger chunks of quartz around, plus, the shores of the Red Sea right next to them was blessed with more than its fair share of quartz per other sand particles. So, since we're not recreating the Louvre, it won't be too difficult to gather up the amount of quartz needed. The melting point will still be extremely high though, so we'll have to create some bigger bellows than they were used to back then, but not a huge deal. How do you get glass in the form of a hollow...
Yo, I remember when I was a kid, I didn't realize how hard it was to melt metal, and I used to throw, like, tin cans and shit into a fire, and I was always so fascinated that it wouldn't melt. Like, you need a hot-ass surface to fucking melt metal. Any metal.
Oh, tube though.
Even like a little tin cap. You're a dumbass? Bro, I was like 9.
Well, that's where the Egyptians already have us covered. They used
1,000-degree knife. I used to do that all the time. Put a fire poker in a fucking campfire. Let it get red hot, and then you burn something. Put it in a fucking, like a bucket of water. That was early brain rot. I keep pausing. People hate it. I've seen, chat, I know. I pause too much. Anyways, I loved the red hot metal videos. I'll say it. I know it was brain rot. I know it was a bad era in 2016, and it was the start of brain rot content as a whole, arguably. But I loved the videos where it was like cutting into butter with a red hot knife. And it would just literally be just random like flamethrowers that they would just make it really hot and they would cut into like an Xbox controller. It's awesome.
Technique to make stuff
satisfying. You never know what's going to happen. Cutting into a Diet Coke bottle with a red hot knife. Is it going to explode?
like perfume bottles, where they basically formed dirt and clay into whatever shape they wanted, dipped it in molten glass, and once it's solidified, they scrape the dirt and clay out. Fred will make the tube in sections like that, then try to melt each section together with some added beeswax and resin to seal it nicely. It won't be pretty, but it'll have that artisanal, I made this while dodging scorpions charm. The color of the neon light will depend on the gas used. Argon, for example, is purple. Helium.
How do they get... Yo, actually, I still don't understand how they get helium. How... They always say our atmosphere is like losing helium. I imagined that they deadass had people like with vacuums in the sky just like fucking sucking helium out of the air. How do they get helium? What do you mean you don't know? How do they get helium? How do they get helium? How do they get concentrated pockets of helium? They mine it? It's not a metal. What do you mean? Do they have filters for it? How do they get helium? Natural gas deposits underground. Bro, I thought they got that shit out of the air. In the ground, they just find like helium in caves and then suck it out.
Is pinkish red and neon is orangish yellow. Fred can't go with his favorite orangish yellow color though.
They mine it. They don't mine it. They mine into it.
He's got to be
You don't mine oil. You mine for oil.
Pragmatic about this. He wants the gas.
You drill for oil. I think you're thinking of xenon. Brother, I don't know what I'm thinking of.
That's easiest to get and isn't electrically expensive. So he'll go with mercury vapor, which is a cool blue color. It's toxic, but Fred's from the future, so he's not going to pull an Isaac Newton. To get the mercury vapor, Fred will heat up some cinnabar with iron in a sealed container to trap the gas. Gas is inherently sluggish. It takes a lot to get it excited.
Hey, you want to go for a walk? Nah, I'm good. You want to go to Raging Waters? Nah. You want to go on a free 14-day all-inclusive vacation to the Maldives? I'm just gonna take a nap. You know this is why we can't have nice things.
Oh, come on, babe. Creating the voltage needed to get mercury vapor excited and ready to party will be tricky. Just FYI, if electricity is this garden hose, amps is the amount of water going through the hose, and voltage is the pressure of that water. So we need a lot of electric pressure.
Yo, I feel like I'm watching like a Khan Academy video right now. You're losing me. You're losing me. Stop giving me like an easy analogy to understand. Amps is the water out of the hose and voltage is the pressure. I don't know what a fucking amp or a volt is. I just know the higher the number, the stronger it is.
And voltage is the pressure of that water. So we need a lot of electric pressure. For mercury, that's about 1,000 volts. Theoretically,
how the fuck are you generating 1,000 volts in Egypt in the year 4000 BC?
There's a few ways to do this with Egyptian tech, 0 of which are particularly easy. Creating a
Yeah, I'm waiting for a storm with a metal pole. Holding that shit up to the sky. Metal pole, copper tubing to the sky. Waiting for lightning to hit that shit.
Generator out of a water wheel, coil of wire, and weak natural magnet wouldn't get us the voltage mercury vapor requires. One workaround is...
Yo, magnets! Stop! Now we're getting into even more shit I don't understand. What the fuck is a magnet? How do you there's just metal that they find that is like attracted to other metal? Like, dude, and when you were a kid, anybody find two ends of a magnet that are the same and you try and force them together? I would spend hours doing that with like random fridge magnets, and and they would go. Anytime you got real close, you couldn't get them to touch. They're really strong.
It could create some voltaic pile batteries. Only problem.
Jesse Pinkman over here, bro. You saying I'm a dumbass? How you just know how I know how magnets work. Like I know it's like the fucking ions. I don't know how magnets work. I don't. It's like the ions are like opposite. There's like electrons that are charged. It's a plus minus. I've seen a AA fucking battery before. Okay, it's the polarity or whatever. They're attracted to each other. They're not. I don't know. That's how it works. There's two opposites. It's two opposites, right? On whatever it is. At least you're not bald. Stop. Yeah, it's the polarity on the magnets. They either go towards each other or away. Where do they find magnets? In rocks, but most magnets are man-made. Joe, you know what a good present is? Just a really big fucking magnet. That's sick. I want one of those magnets that they have in a show. You know what I'm talking about? When it's like the U. It's like the perk that you get in video games, like Subway Surfers.
Problem is, sum in this case equals 1000, which would take Fred's sanity all the way down to 0. Not good. Fred could also build a transformer, but this would require an immense amount of wire, as he'd need many tens of thousands of turns of wire in a coil to get the necessary voltage. That ain't happening either. Fred will go with option 3, which is to build an electrostatic generator with a series of Leyden jars. Invented in
How does Fred know this shit? Is Fred Albert Einstein? Are we sending Fred back to the fucking future? Back in the past? He just knows how to make a Leyden jar. Fred's just the jack of all trades. He just knows everything. Your chat GPT going back in time.
1945, they consist basically of just a glass jar with metal on the inside and outside of it. They were the earliest and most simple batteries. And the good news is...
Yo, you know what fucks with me too? Sorry, it's gonna be very bright. This light is on 6 hours a day, fucking, I don't know, 3 years? It's never gone out. It's never gone out. It's never gone out. It's never gone out. How's that not running? What's in that? What the fuck? I look at that all the time. I'm like, that light bulb, it's just been going. It's LED. It's not LED. That one's not LED. The other ones I have are LEDs. My Elgato key light's an LED. That's not a fucking LED. You want to see it? Okay, you're not going to be able to see it. It's really bright. Hold up. Let me turn it off. Beep. Look. Fuck! Motherfucker! Can you see it? Oh my god. I can't touch it. It's hot. That's how I know it's not an LED. Fuck you. It's hot. LEDs don't get hot like that.
They can store a lot of voltage. The downside is, it's released all at once. Because they're more like grenades instead of batteries, Fred needs multiple jars, which he'll put in a carousel with a gear-driven switch connecting one jar at a time to the neon tube. As the wheel turns, it'll discharge jars in sequence, creating a quick strobing effect that'll appear continuous to the eye, hopefully. Probably the most time-consuming part of all of this will be making all the wire, even though they had... Oh, wait, hold up. This'll just take a couple seconds, fellas. We gotta wait for people to like and subscribe. Like jewelry, creating it in bulk and...
Motherfucker. You're gonna make me feel bad.
Insulating it will be pretty difficult and time-consuming. But Fred's got Egyptian helpers, and as we know, the Egyptians never back down from a mega project.
Yeah, do you think there was ever a point when they were building the ancient Egyptian pyramids that they were like, man, I don't know if this is possible? They had to, though, because it was like, I mean, they were religiously motivated, you know? It was like, that was like a life or death thing. There had to be a moment where they got the base of the pyramid for Khufu done, and they went, fuck no. Bro, it's standing today. Like fucking thousands of years later, that shit, bro, they probably got that base done, and they went, oh, hell no. Or like when they're banging out those heavy blocks and they crack one and they got to restart, it's like 3 days worth of work down the drain.
Now, Fred is a genius who tinkers with stuff like this in his spare time.
They were dialed in? Yeah, they were. How fast did they build that shit? How fast did they build the pyramid? The Khufu pyramid. 20 years. Damn, that was probably every day, though.
All the time. So he built this light as fast as any mortal could. It took him 6 months, and his sanity went from a respectable 88 down to 59. After a little Mediterranean vacay, he's ready to start on the vacuum. For the vacuum, Fred could go the easy route and create a man-powered bellows suction-y gizmo But we're not letting Fred off the hook that easy. We
Oh my
demand
god, dude, that would have just been the cheat code right there.
something more resembling a modern vacuum. He can make the house of the vacuum out of wood and beeswax, and he can use linen for the filter, and the easy parts are over. To create the suction, he needs a small fan made of bronze blades attached to an electric motor. Electric motors are mostly just wire, magnets, and some gears, but creating it in ancient times without precision tools and modern parts will require a significant portion of Fred's sanity. You need to
He would need to advance the Egyptian civilization to acquire these materials.
gather the supplies to magnetize the electrons clockwise through wire of the right size, Betty Davis eyes. He'll reuse the water wheel generator from the neon light with a few modifications. For the magnet at the generator, he'll need to find magnetite, which is a common mineral. Yay! But very rarely
Also the name of a Pokemon. Or close to the name of a Pokemon.
can you find it in the wild pre-magnetized, which is called
Magnezone.
lodestone for some reason. To get the best magnet possible, he'll probably have to create his own. By pulling a Benjamin Franklin and tying copper wire to some magnetite, then making Zeus angry, which should magnetize it into lodestone. Once he has that, an electric generator is simple enough in concept to build. A
Yo, I can't get over the fact that people are that fucking smart. Ben Franklin wrapped a copper wire around like a piece of metal and then got it struck by lightning so it would be a magnet. Like, how do people find that out? I can't get over the guy that was born like fucking 6,000 years ago that mapped the circumference of the earth using a fucking stick. And he would walk around and put a stick in the ground and measure the angle of the sun and then mapped how big the earth was when most people thought the earth was flat. Eratosthenes, it was 240 BC, still 2,000 years ago. 240 BC used sticks and poles and shadows to measure and calculate the Earth's circumference with fairly positive accuracy, observing that a vertical stick casts no shadow at noon. And then that's how he started.
he has that,
And people still think the Earth is flat now with fucking iPhones. You have an iPhone and you can get into a plane, and a dude 2,000 years ago with a stick in the fucking sun is able to figure that shit out.
generator is simple enough in concept to build. A vacuum uses way less volts than a neon light, but a lot more amps. But a 6-foot diameter water wheel with thick copper wire should be able to deliver this. It'll be a bulky, heavy vacuum, but to someone who builds pyramids for a living, it's portable. And it won't win any suction awards, but it'll be enough to get those imported Persian rugs a little cleaner. So which was more difficult? Well, the neon flamingo fried Fred's brain while the vacuum cleaner crushed his soul. The main factors being the carousel of Leyden jars and trapped vapor needed for the neon light. The vacuum only took his sanity down to 67 in a mere 5 months. So now you know which to choose next time someone's holding a time machine.
The vacuum. And you could cheat the vacuum too by just getting like the bellow that makes a fire grow larger and just suck something in with a tube. And it counts.
Machine to your head.
Neon light or vacuum, punk.
Because you could just have somebody, you could have two guys just manpower that, and then you just bring it around and suck things up. All right, we're hopping into philosophy now. Actually,